Hello, you malignant Teletubbies. I bought a big amp. I bought a big amp a little while ago, and I haven't played it on the camera yet. This big amp is sweet. It's a 1976 Marshall JMP Master Volume Mark II 2203 100 watt. But it's bright as a motherfucker, which sometimes is fine and other times is kind of annoying. And so now I'm playing some guitars to try and figure out if this is a friend whose personality quirks I will accept and treasure, or if something else needs to be done with bright caps and such. I believe the circuit is stock, but I don't know for sure, and I'm not super well versed enough to tell quickly. It has had its filter caps done already. So I'm just going to be playing some stuff and thinking to myself about what I hear, about whether or not just what I want to do with it. And this is a 2004 Gibson SG Special Faded that has had, this is my first real guitar, got it junior year of high school, and it's still excellent, and it has mid-70s T-tops in it at the moment. Master's at like 3, preamps at 10 right now. Presence is at like 4. I don't know what bass and mid is doing. What's bass and mid doing? Bass is at 7. Mid's at 8. Treble is at 2. Presence is at 3. Master's at 3. Neck pickup until I change it. Tone all the way up on the neck pickup. I don't know, man. DMZ 2000. It's got stock DiMarzio pickups. It's from sometime in the 70s. Ensign is short for Ensign. It's the rock opera that I'm writing. It's about Myrtle Beach and God. And you've got 3-position switch and coil taps for each pickup. And I don't know, that information is probably not all that useful because I haven't been telling you, nor will I really be telling you like what I'm playing or like how it's set up. So far, the neck pickups have been close to tone all the way up, and there's usually some tone dialed back on the bridge pickup. And it's like I'm getting sounds in the room that make me very happy. Albeit with the master not working very hard at 3 and the gain all the way up. So it's like a particular setting for the amp. I know that's not telling me everything I need to know. But it is a little bit like when is this, like when do you need this amp? Like what was, there's some things that I must not understand here. And like that is like working scenarios where this amp's brightness ever needs to be at 6. or the treble setting ever needs to be at 6, or the setting ever, or the presence ever needs to be between 6 and 10. I mean, I guess if this is mid-70s, if the amp is a 1976, you got all sorts of bullshit that is maybe hitting the front of your amp that you don't have now. Exceptionally long cable runs. I mean, if you're buying this to play it in a spot, I mean, this amp is more than appropriate for a big enough stage that you need a 50-foot run of cable. You got no such thing as wireless systems. Not meaningfully, I don't think. And if you are running effects into the front of this amp, they stand a pretty good chance of sucking a decent amount of high end off. So maybe that's why they just want this thing open, you know? But both of these pickups, I mean, I know like the pickup on the these pickups and the T-tops that I just used on the SG are like exactly what this amp would sort of be expecting to see. If I'm being honest with myself, I really don't want to have this amp modded because it's made its life, it's made its way, I think, so far, not modded. You know, like why? I mean, if it already had shit done to it aside from the filter cap, then I'd probably be about it. Say fuck it, let's just dial this thing in. But isn't it cooler to just let it be what it's gonna be and work around it? That being said, it does feel a little bit of a rub. I feel a little bit of a rub. I don't know. I mean, also the Kramer and the SG were at E standard, and this is the EGC Tyranny, and it's tuned to C sharp standard. Down a step and a half is fucking nice. In the room. I keep saying in the room because, I mean, I recognize that there's a distinct possibility that you know, the cell phone's going to sound like a cell phone. preamps down. Master stays the same. Preamps down to 6, or I mean halfway. Okay. This is a cool guitar. This is a early 2000s Neptune, which was a brand that a man named Jerry Jones was sued into starting. He used to release guitars under his own name, and then the whatever the folks who restarted and bought the Dan Electro name and restarted Dan Electro in the late 90s, early 2000s, had to, I believe, take legal action against Jerry Jones because Dan Electro, because I think whoever owned the Dan Electro intellectual property rights was not protecting those rights as Jerry Jones was making his superior instruments through the 80s and 90s, and then the folks who currently own Dan Electro began, and they were like, hey, Jerry Jones, you got to cut it out. Jerry Joneses and Neptunes are expensive as shit, but they are also not using their money to fight gay marriage, as the current ownership of Dan Electro insists on doing. They may sound like kind of a conspiratorial or like hard to back up thing to say. I won't get into the details now, but it's pretty easy to Google, Dan Electro anti-gay marriage or Dan Electro California. I think it was Proposition 8 a few years ago. Anyway, Dan Electro threw a bunch of conservative money into that memorandum. That's a huge bummer. That wasn't just them being politically expedient. That's actually what they believe. I know that's what they actually believe because the beautiful and kind owner of a small music store I used to work at found out about that history of Dan Electro being anti-human rights and emailed the company, and the CEO, the same genius who brought us the Fox tone machine, wrote him back and saying like, hey, yeah, that was us. We understand if that doesn't jive with you, but we're not going to say sorry for putting our money behind something we believe in. Which I guess I'll extend him that credit. But anyway, that was more time than I anticipated mentioning how disappointed I am with Dan Electro and their politics and why I cannot even use to feel good about playing them. Five-way selector, master volume, master tone. Neck, third position, middle, bridge position, bridge. In between positions are those two pickups relative in series. More treble on the amp. But on the low gain channel. Okay, what do we learn here? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because I still have never used this amplifier in a band context. So, well, not nothing. We learned plenty of things. We were reminded of things that we already knew. That the single coils on EGC Tyrannies are hot as shit and sound awesome. We learned that DiMarzios are hotter than Gibson T-tops. And we learned that Jerry Jones is made delightful instruments, while Dan Electro is a topic upon which I will have stronger and more well laid out opinions in the future. And also that the Marshall JMP 2203 Master Volume Mark II from 1976 certainly can do way fucking more than we asked it to today. It's not unusually bright or unusably bright, but it is bright enough that I certainly have to compensate somewhat substantially on the amp. Never really pushing it above like 3 on the treble. Presence never above like 2. At least to be like comfortable and happy with the way it sounds in the room. And also, to be real, TBH, I'm not sure what happens with the high end of the amp when I get way up on the master volume. It could be that the high end is sounding way out of place right this second. Not way out of place, but, you know, like out of place enough where I need to deal with it. On the bottom third of the master volume. But it could be that the bass and the mids really catch up as that master volume crosses 5, 6, 7, 8, that kind of thing. And power tube breakup becomes part of the equation. There's a lot more to learn. I'm really happy that I bought that amp. I had to sell a bunch of shit to buy that amp. I bought that amp, the JMP that you just heard, and that Echoplex EP4 at the same time. We were also hearing this cabinet below, which is a PV 4x12. It is from the VTM and Butcher era of the mid-80s. I believe the Butcher cabs are the ones that have the white piping, but take that with a grain of salt. Either way, both era cabs, the VTM and the Butchers, got stock Celestion GK85s, and so that is what you were hearing. And with that, I say good day!